Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Live in Italy magazine. I am pleased today to introduce Bénédicte Zanini. Now, this is our Chat with an Expat feature series for our summer issue, and Anne is the cover story. But you'll be interested to know that the circumstances to which Anne moved to Italy is a little different than anyone we've ever interviewed before. Anne is originally from the Ivory Coast in Africa and moved to Italy because of some health reasons, and also she was adopted by an Italian family. So she identifies as an Italian, especially one from northern Italy, and we'll get more into that today. So we'll be talking to her about her life, how she got to Italy, her business, WOM Services, that she co-owns with her husband, and her future plans and living in Italy, many other things. My name is Lisa Morales, and I am the editor of Live in Italy magazine, a travel and lifestyle publication dedicated to all things Italy. And so happy to have you here on this series. Welcome.
Welcome to here I am. I'm so happy. Hello.
Hello. And I will let everybody know that Anne and I have had many conversations, and I consider Anne to be a good friend. And I am so happy to have gotten to get to know her better. I really hope that you are inspired too by her story. So Anne, very interesting and different way for us on how you got to Italy. So let's start first with where were you born?
Well, I was born in 84 in Ivory Coast, the closest to the commercial capital named Abidjan. And I was adopted at 4 years old and a half in December. And I was adopted for healthy reasons, as you were mentioned. My mom were traveling in Abidjan for friendship reason. Her friend Nan host a orphanage with her team of missionaries, and she called my mom and asked her why you don't come up to help us while you are in a holiday. And my mom just flew up, and during her stay, unfortunately, they told her that I was the only kid, they were like about 80 kids. And I was very sick. I got malaria, and malaria falciforme is the way you can die in 3 days. So they were very in rush. They brought me in hospital. They had to drive for up to 6 hours. So it was very challenging for them because it was in the street in Ivory Coast during those times that were very tough to drive. And after, when she got back, she bring me with her and to meet her family and her 2 child. And basically, I grew up there before for healthy reason, and after they finally adopt me officially at when I was 18 in the high school, but informally in 20 years before, they were like a very good family, and they are nowadays.
Okay, so when that is terrible to have been sick from such a young age. So you were taken to Italy for medical care then?
Yeah.
Yes, and that was at what age? How old were you?
Almost 5.
5.
Yeah.
5, and then you stayed from then on in Italy. You were living in Italy from the age of 5?
Yes, yeah. The first time I moved was when I was around 23, if I don't remember that, when I moved to New York. But all my stays were before was in Italy.
Okay, so from the time that you were 5, and then you said you were adopted at age 18?
Yeah.
Okay, so where were you living at that time?
In Vicenza.
In Vicenza?
Yeah.
With a host family?
My family, my mom, that she bring me, and her two child, Luciano and Maurizio, my two sons,
Okay.
and my dad, that is an entrepreneur, and we used to live in the same house for like 35 years, so it was pretty good.
All right. So when you refer to your mother, are you talking about your adoptive mother?
Yeah.
Are you talking?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So your mother in the Ivory Coast, your natural mother, your birth mother, she does not live in Italy then?
No, she died like a few years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I didn't meet her because I grew up in an orphanage. She couldn't take care of me.
Okay, so you were then adopted by, so from the time that you were in Italy, in Vicenza, you were with your adopted family, where you get the name Zanini from, raised with your mother and your father, and you said your father's an entrepreneur, and then you also have brothers, sisters through them, or?
In Ivory Coast, you mean?
No. In Italy, with the family who adopted you.
Yeah, two sons. Luciano, 10 years more than me, and Maurizio, almost 15 more than me, and they are my best friend. When I get married, they were like how you say, the person who signed the marriage with me and my husband. And okay, I forgot the name. Sorry. Let's go back to our topic.
Yes. Okay. That's all right. We're just trying to get to know you better. So like sometimes it's not always in a straight line. We go back and forth. So don't worry. So I do want to go back to your childhood. So did you recuperate from your health quickly when you were in Italy from the time you were 4? Was it a long process of getting better?
Yeah, it took a long process, physically and mentally, and it is now still going on. But it kept me very strong and positive person. Basically, I have a long hospitalization time, like a month, and I'm very respectful about doctor health, and the human being has a patience, like a patient, like you need to be patient and look around as you look yourself as like a little part of the earth, and just take what is needed, what you take you better, feel better, to be alive. I really think this. I think that I've had a period of amnesia that take you comfort, like your comfort zone. After a period of like Wonder Woman, because I was in New York, I was learning a lot of things. I was working Fifth Avenue. I was like, and after I had the period of awareness, and after that it comes to my soul, to my love, to my business. I transformed this. Now I'm 38, and my birthday was in June 1st. So I'm still happy.
Ah, happy birthday. That's so nice. And I believe in our conversations that you mentioned, because you said that since childhood, obviously you've had a lifetime of health problems. So you mentioned polio, right? Yeah. So yes, and this is very serious. So what was it like as a child growing up? I mean, your parents, you obviously had very loving parents who took care of you so well, and siblings. But was it a challenge to be like regular children, like in school, and then also with all these health problems and a disability? Was it a challenge?
Yeah, very challenge. Also because for a long time I really wasn't aware of my real problem, and I just my only need was to be happy and play with my friend. We grew up in a super nice place in the hill with the pool, with the tennis, and I, even if I walk it bad, I want to do all, and I didn't want to think about take care of me with exercise, all the disagreeable things.
Of course.
So my mom actually was very, very tough and was very helpful. Honestly, when I was a teenager, I didn't have a very good relation, but it helps me to be tough and on the way, because you need to be open-minded. I'm a very open-minded person, and also straight. You cannot, when you are ill, you cannot. It's better that you are not lazy.
Right.
So when you have a person beside you, that sometimes you are just annoyed about this, but in the end they really helps because you tend to spend time to feel something bad about you, about yourself. Yes. Oh, I'm here, I'm still in the hospital or whatever. But when you have a good person beside, you move and you move in the better way.
Mm-hmm. So, yes, your mother sounds like a wonderful person.
Yeah, she is.
Yes.
She's at the same time very tough and very, severe, and at the same time open mind, really open mind. So my best travel in the world was with my parents. We flew around all the world. It was very nice.
Wow. So you traveled a lot with your family. Yeah. That's good. So
I rather travel with my parents than with my friend, because my friend, I'm from Vicenza, is a typical Northeast city. The mentality is a bit straight, not too much like in other cities, but it's a bit. So the best proposal when I was in high school from my friend was, let's go to Jesolo or to Rimini.
Jesolo Beach.
Yes, and I couldn't stand it. Was like, no, please, we are going to Amazonia. So
so let's talk about that. And of course, you can tell us as much as you like, because I'm sure it's a sensitive issue. So you said you refer to Vicenza as relatively conservative northeastern Italy. What were some of the challenges besides your disability? Because as a child, it doesn't matter where you grow up. It's difficult when you're different. So you were different in the sense that you had a disability, and also different in the sense that I imagine there weren't many African immigrants in your area, never mind being adopted into a family. So first, as a child, what were some of the challenges for you? And then tell me some of the challenges for your parents and how they conquered that? Because you said your mother was really strong.
I think I need another explication because I couldn't get if it was challenging me.
Of course, as a woman of color coming from another country, also with a disability. But let's talk about it because I was raised in Canada. I was adopted. I'm obviously, not what typical Canadian is. So I know growing up that there were certain challenges, so what were some? You're talking about going into northeastern Italy, which is relatively conservative, probably not an area that had at the time welcomed many immigrants. What were some of the challenges for you as a child?
Yeah, actually, when I was a child, it wasn't so tough at those times. Because firstly there weren't a lot of people of color, and I was sick. I don't know how is the situation in US, but here during the latest year, people are more and more increasing to don't care about those kind of things, and they look very mean, very unpolite. These things couldn't happen 20 years ago because they were like a general common, like this has not to be done. And now it's like the same in politics. You can do whatever you want. You can yell at the street. You can be impolite if you want. You are not so ashamed of yourself because you will find surely someone beside you that will say, hey, yes, of course, like in Italian, you walk slow and you can stay home. This is the little tragedy about this. So what I can say that is more challenging now.
Interesting. More challenging now, but as a child, you didn't feel so much different because of your race.
No, because they were very respectful about adopted kids, and very respectful about head. So
that's great. That's good to know. And did you grow up with any other children that were adopted into families?
No.
No, but that's really nice to know because that helps because it's complicated. You were already 4, you were old enough to have known your natural mother and then to have moved. So what about your family, your parents? Do you know of any challenges for them? Like was it welcoming for them to have adopted child as well? Like people welcomed that idea?
If the people around supported them, you mean my family?
Yes.
Actually, I think they have some challenge, but I couldn't feel this because I was too young, honestly.
Yes.
This is as a person I don't now recently.
No, that's excellent. I know one thing that my parents adopted me, like I was 3 months, so I was still a baby. But one thing and it was by Catholic charities. And one thing that they advised my parents is to always have it as part of the natural conversation. So for as long as I knew I was adopted, like they said, don't wait until that she's 18 to say, oh, by the way, you're adopted, always part of the natural conversation. So yeah. I admire any parents who make that decision because they need to be strong. And it sounds like you had strong parents.
Yeah.
Because in your case, it wasn't just the physical, it's also emotional. They have to know that this was a big change for you.
yeah.
That
I now respect how you say, the this way of acting to keep saying you are adopted. But during this time, I wasn't so happy about because,
yeah.
of course, you are young.
And that's normal. And especially as a teenager, like you say, we go through that rebellious stage and you question your life and your identity. So that's normal. So you went to school. We've talked because, as I mentioned to everybody, Anne and I have had a few conversations. So you went to university in Italy. Where did you go and what did you study?
In Florence. I remember with so much love, and I spent like almost 4 years, 3 years, and it was the time I think I started to grow up like socially, because before it wasn't so. So I wasn't so open-minded. No, maybe not open-minded, but I couldn't see so much things going around because I was from Vicenza, that is small place. And in Florence, I studied photography and trend for fashion at university under literature faculty, and it was challenging to me in a positive way, of course, because I started for a reason, and the reason was I used to love to draw for fashion. When I realized after the first year that all my high school dream weren't matching at all with what was going on, I was looking around in the faculty, and when I saw photography and print and fashion trend, I say this is my goal. This is my new goal. So I changed faculty, and it was so funny because I had a lot of friends in university, a lot of people from Florence. So many lives, so many different. So the girl from Albania that she's working like a cleaning lady in a restaurant. Now she's still one of my friends, and my friend at the university, still one of my best friends. Now is moving in London, or the other one is in Palermo, and now he has 4 child. It's a big world just in Florence.
Yes, that's great. And so that opened up your world, didn't it?
Yeah.
And and obviously anything to do with art and culture, to be in Florence just must be amazing. What an amazing experience. So when did you learn English? Was it in university?
Not at all. I studied French because I was a bit lazy. I was lazy, not. I was lazy to study language, and I faced English actually in family because my oldest brother, used to be married with a girl from half Bolivia and half from California. But she grew up in Peru, so we moved to have the wedding for 1 month there. It was so fun.
Oh, wow. A whole month for a wedding.
Yes, because we travel all around. It was amazing. And so at home there was English, but not too much. And but I think the first person was this girl, Randy. She used to study first art, and after here at the Guggenheim in Venice to do some residence and bring me to the culture and to the US culture. So that was the first time. The second time was in Florence when I used to do a lot of stage at university for PT. So you encounter people from all around the world every day. So I understand that I had to improve my language.
Yes, yes, that's good. But I feel that Europeans do so much better than us Americans, like as far as languages. So it's been wonderful even for me as I learn Italian to be able to speak to you in English. And I always appreciate that. I don't take that for granted. So I know that you did live some time in New York. So tell us about that.
Okay, I was still studying in Florence and talking about photography, reportage photography or portrait photography. I was basically doing, and our family friend, my dad friend. Work for a big company in US, and tell my dad that if I wanted to move, he could help me for this reason. But during this time, I was in Milan doing my first little job and having my first big party, fashion party, and I was maybe feeling too much Wonder Woman, and I perfectly remember the day it happens that I knew that I would travel to New York. I was in afternoon. I was riding the bike in Navigli because I used to work in Navigli, and I was going to have a shooting assistant with a photographer for Grazia Neri, that used to be a very big company, big photography company. And I pick up the phone, I stop, and my dad called me. Oh, listen, you receive all the envelope, and you need to go back in Vicenza, take your passport because in 2 weeks you will fly. And I was like, I don't want to go to New York. Why am I going to move to New York? I'm doing my first things. So I think I was the only person in the world that I didn't want to move to New York. And I didn't have any fascination. I remember because my dream was to do photography in Paris. So the funny thing is that my dad called one of my best friends at the time that she used to love now from the moon to the back and again to the moon, New York. And he asked her, listen, you need to bring my daughter to New York because she needs to take advantage of this. Well, we flew. And the first days, I remember that it was like looking around like, oh, this is too big. Oh, this is too light. This is too much. So the first feelings wasn't so cool. But again, it was first, the travel is first on the mind of the traveler. So it was
and it sounds like your father has a strong personality too.
Yes.
Because he saw that as a good opportunity for you, even if you had not.
Yes, he's very strong. Yes.
So you were involved in fashion photography in New York.
Yeah, to doing only stage and workshop and portrait for small companies, model management companies, and it was so different because in Milan, I think I told you last time, I had the opportunity to go to a very nice studio And my boss, she was the assistant of Peter Lindbergh. So she used to have now I think she's still on the market, the big photographer. So I used to handle very good quality of photos, very good person, very cool people. And when I mentioned to Franca Sozzani, wasn't during that period before to fly away from Milan to New York. That's why I was not so happy. But after that, I realized that it was the best idea.
Right. You needed some convincing. You needed to be convinced that this was it. But you feel it was a good decision.
Yeah, of course. Yes. Maybe if I would change something, I would go a little bit older. Also, my boss told me, you are very strong to be here, because here the Italians or the people in this multinational coming around 30. I was 20 almost.
You were 20 when you went to New York.
Yeah, 22. And I remember that I was, for me, it was too stressful to me. Was too stressful. And when you are so young, I think, I speak about myself, you don't think anything is more worthy than your freedom, So
right.
If I was now, I would stay more, for example, or I would enjoy more and stress less, because
right.
My memories of New York, it was a fantastic train, fantastic city, fantastic happy hour in the rooftops, but so stressful
for you because of your age. And you shared a nice story with me once about Franca, because obviously in the fashion industry, and I can imagine in Milan and New York, I mean, these are the epicenters of fashion. There is a lot of stress that comes with it. And she offered you some encouraging words. What was that? Tell us the story.
Yes, it was very challenging to me to go to a party when I was working, because when I used to go to example PT big parties, I was just enjoying with my friends. Someone brought me with, and I didn't have to feel secure about my appearance. And when I was in Milan, I used to go. I need to go by myself for a lot of time. Alone, I'm short, I'm very short, and I'm lamp. So, at the time, I couldn't wear nice shoes at all. So every time, maybe I had a nice dress because I had to work in a nice showroom, and they gift you. But the whole appearance wasn't okay for me, and so I was very embarrassed. And there were two persons that touched me a lot, and bring me more closer. I used to try to hide in a corner or speaking with the bar lady instead of speaking with the people because I was shy. And the advice to be to show the beauty in the room is like is meaning everyone owns a beauty. I just don't see mine, and this is something that for a person very famous, and in the let's say the focus of the fashion in Milan and internationally, it gives you a lot. It's like a stone that day, that night. For me, it's a stone, and I had the chance to meet also in Corso Como for short times, but all the words, the advice, and the eyes, the look, are very used to, unfortunately, be very warm, very, and after that, I remember I was very, very more tranquil than to go. You know, I spoke with a lot of people after that that I couldn't have idea. Like, sorry, I get emotional because
No, it's beautiful. And I'm so glad you shared that story. That, yes, I mean, especially in the fashion business where it is so much focused on beauty, how amazing to have somebody remind you that we're all beautiful in some way. And you said that that was life transforming with you. So even though you were young, not ready for New York at the time, here was this greatest lesson. And then you take this back to Italy with you, right?
Yeah, of course. And I remember that I learned a lot. I learned that you can take a lot of lesson, a positive lesson from what you don't like to do at work. Because in New York, I had a commercial office hour work, so it wasn't so creative, let's say, like in Milan. And I need to pay my bills, you know, and all the stage were expensive. So I learned that you can find the beauty also in a job unexpected. It was the first reason, first lesson that I like to say, because it take me very far when I understood this, because everything is like a small piece of the puzzle. I feel in the beginning that doesn't match. So why I'm doing this? And sometimes I feel angry, sometimes I feel happy, and sometimes maybe I feel crazy when I work, because I feel that I need to open a new project, and maybe my partner or my coworker just say, "Oh no, you are crazy," but I feel a new path you need to open. So these are the best lessons that I receive in New York. The second is just the reaffirmation of what I learned in the hospital. You can do whatever you want, and that's the reason why I changed my back thought about New York that I had in the beginning when I was back.
Right.
And now I feel like I'm 36, 60 degree, or maybe half full, full of. I understand. They used to call me sunshine for a lot of time of my life, and now I can understand why and how I can be more powerful to me.
Right. And then others. That's why they call you sunshine, because you spread that strength. And I found that myself. Like I said, we've had a few conversations. I find Anne so strong. And yeah, we each inspire each other. There's beauty in all of us. So you were in New York for a year, I guess, right?
For 3 years.
3 years. Oh, okay. So by the time you come back to, I guess, did you go back to Milan after those 3 years?
No, I refused to go to Milan because it looks to me that it was just a small New York.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I couldn't stand it. And I tried to move to Bologna.
Uh-huh.
And I tried to, I had a small, a few months in Geneva for a workshop to the United Nations. That it was very challenging, very, very cool, actually. And after I moved to Verona.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I think It's like another temporary city.
Yes,
But-
we've talked about that.
Yeah, but it's very nice.
Yeah, Verona is beautiful, obviously. But I think, like you said, once you've spent that much time in New York, everything is going to feel smaller. You are now used to big city, modern world, international, multicultural. So that must have been a beautiful experience for you, because all of a sudden you're among so many different types of people, even though you're in the crazy fashion business. So yes, that's wonderful. So back in Italy, then, I know that because we're going to be talking about your business next, you met your husband. So tell us about him.
Okay, I met my husband on a bar. It was Monday evening, like let's say happy hour, aperitivo italiano.
Okay.
And the funny thing, it was the bar completely with no people, and just the lady, only the bar lady that knows both me and Marco, his name. And when I first start to walk in, I look around the guy and I thought about myself, oh, I finally see again this guy. This guy. So I was happy because in my thought, he couldn't talk with no one else because we were just me and him and the family. But I couldn't expect it that he was shy. So he happens at a certain time, at a certain point. I was speaking about almost by myself and with the bar lady because he was looking the other side like this. After that, we are still joking about this because he's shy. So when he started to be shy, he look around another place. And so the first words were like, ciao, come stai? Tutto bene.
Very simple.
Very simple, really. Smooth and simple, fantastic.
But then eventually you got to know each other. So is he from Verona then?
Yes, he's from Verona. And he has two sisters, and his mom and dad, and they're from here since generation. And it's nice because we are in the Williamsburg neighbor, let's say, like Williamsburg, like neighbor with more folklore in Veronetta. Is very nice. Okay. So you can find still the small local, the small business, the small flower shop, and on Wednesday they close like in the old times. It's very nice.
They close in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. That's nice though. That's nice. Yeah. A different way to work. A lot of us would not be used to that. Even as travelers, it's hard sometimes to go to a place in Europe where they shut down in the afternoon because you have to plan your whole day to it's different, but that's nice. It's really nice to know that there are places that still preserve the old way, la dolce vita, right?
Exactly.
So you now operate a business. It's a marketing services called WOM Services, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should get out. I know what WOM stands for, WOM, but tell everyone else who's watching, what does that stand for?
Okay, it's like a word of mouth, like passaparola in Italiano.
Okay.
And, for us, the basic meaning is that if you see the logo as the new logo it has the flag like a WOM, like is like a bridge. when you communicate, you are doing a bridge. You are walking a bridge and you are traveling, okay, in whichever direction. So the reason why in our homepage there is the river yacht bridge in the sea, because it's just metaphoric. And also our manifesto is all about this. We are doing to do English version as soon as possible. But if you read the manifesto, is all about this: see forward. We hate. We profoundly refuse the general commons. Okay, so we like to work with whoever want to stand up for with the crazy business, or with a small business, or with just his business, but he want to be unique, basically. And which is I think is the best approach we could do, because it give us a good feedback until now. Until now, I'm happy. So.
That's good. That's good. And I imagine, from what I've spoken to other people, especially, marketing and developing concepts for Italian businesses in a kind of American way or a new way. Just, it doesn't have to be American. We don't have to take credit for it. It's challenging. Do you find that challenging? To modernize how businesses market each other, market themselves, or give that vision, to other people. Do you find that difficult?
Yeah, I agree for the American marketing, because maybe it's my first challenge. Because I obviously got a footprint by that education, okay, and I still think that is the best marketing you can do in whatever part of the world you are. Plus, I study advertising, and I'm very proud of this. When I say, because now there are a ton of people that mismatch advertising with social media. When you talk about advertising, you talk about rules that are going forward from 50, from 40, from 60. Now you cannot change and do not respect this rule, because you feel like a genius, or you feel just like, the story doesn't have nothing to deal with me. This is my first time pass. And I struggle with this, but now I used to struggle with this, but now I found myself more precise,
more persistent. Yes.
Yeah, persistent, because I surround myself with the people. A lot of people not far from Italy, of course, who have the same thought, and there are a lot of people like the couple from UK that living here. I used to mention Peg and Co, or like some people I met in Vicenza, in Camp Heatherley, or some people from here. There is a very nice gallery, and they are international people, even if I'm from here, but they are very open-minded. So when I start to deal or start a new project, now I refer to them. So I know that we talk the same language, and we can bring a result.
Right.
If not, in the American marketing here crash after 2 days, because the owner of the restaurant will say, "Oh no, abbiamo sempre fatto così. We used to do like this. My mom used to do like this."
Right. Right.
Yes,
and I think that's where the coming together of different ideas from different places, like you say, really helps. And I always say that, having a background in marketing it's so nice to have somebody who speaks the language, and we have to be persistent. I know it's going to be difficult for small businesses, but obviously, it's great that you have people that are supporting you in these ideas, because it sometimes seems like a risk, right?
Yeah, or they don't feel their inner power, because there's like a tradition here that I'm small, I don't have to do something too much.
Right.
But now I start to explain myself maybe in a better way. Like small doesn't mean not accurate.
No, curating. Yes. No, that's beautiful.
You can just do something cool with the small things, just maybe moving a TV from up there to there. They just the art of what you want to communicate. For example, I have a very nice feedback for the bar. You remember in Prima Mancina, the empanadas?
Yes.
The best recognition I got from Unsplash, because when I was trying to deal with this customer, he was so stubborn about the slouchy and dishes, and very effort. They were putting a lot of effort in the making, so they were beautiful, but the staging was super ugly, and they didn't care, and they were keep saying, "Oh, but we are just small. They just eat, and they will say that are so good." After 1 year that I had to push a lot to do like a home staging with just with an iPhone, not anything, because they didn't have budget, of course. If not, we could make it better. With just an iPhone, all their picture, like 3, were downloaded in Unsplash, 12,000.
Right.
With 30. I didn't expect it. Actually, I didn't check my account because I don't put it for this reason. But after 1 year, I go back to my account and I show them. This is the reason why I'm telling you, you need to be careful to what you deliver outside your place.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we are in a world where how things look is so important. And you're right. And I think that's such a great thing. Is just because you're a small business doesn't mean that you don't put your best foot forward, like in the expression. Like you treat yourself like you're a big business with the right image, even at a low budget. Like you said, it could be with an iPhone. And I think that's really great. And I think we have to persist. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I mean, it's still a challenge, but we've heard from others that in Italy but I think one thing that has maybe, and you can agree, but I've talked to other people, is the pandemic has helped that. I mean, not that the pandemic there's really, good about it, but if we are to look at good, I was hearing from restaurants, let's say, that never had an Instagram, never had a website, because every year people would just go and they never had to do anything. So I know that things are returning to normal, but by changing their idea and their what they thought they didn't need to do and trying, it's made a big difference. And that's good, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like the quality time. I feel like it's changed. I don't know the exact words, but
but that's good. And I noticed, because if anybody, we'll put the links to Anne's website, and so you can see, and then her social media as well, is that one thing that has kind of stuck with me is it seems, and I think this is where we get along, that you're very much into environment, supporting the environment, supporting different causes. ethical kind of advertising. Do you feel that?
Yeah, yeah. I really feel as myself giving more, learning more, healing more, and trying to leave an impact. My small impact, but a good one. So every time now I try to find partner dealing with some places that maybe are very challenging, but I feel to try to work for this.
You're right. You're right. So as you know, this part of our magazine is called Chat with an Expat. So in your case, you're not exactly an expatriate, meaning you didn't choose to lose your home country to go to Italy, like some people go because, you know, it's they acquire citizenship as dual citizenship, you know, through their grandparents or ancestry. Some people marry, some people go for business. But I'm still going to ask you that question. What do you feel is a person that changes their country to Italy? Like, what is that person? What goes into that, an expatriate?
It's a good question. Actually, it's a very challenging question because I'm really sure that in my youth, I was for sure not aware about this. I was feeling like I told you before, like an amnesia about my birth, country birth, and so I was feeling totally Italian, actually. But it happens now that I traveled for the first time in my life back to Ivory Coast, like 5 years ago, the first time, and the second one when I got married 3 years ago. And I went to spend all the time in the orphanage where I grew up, and I meet also I recognize some people. It was very, very emotional, very tough moment. And when I were there, and when I got back, I realized for the first time this concept. Now, this concept, like I was feeling challenging. Like I eat something. Let's put an example. I used to eat some rice done like in my birthday country, you know, and I didn't know. So it's very challenging your mind to understand why you know this recipe and no one teach you apparently here in Verona, in Vicenza, whatever. So this take you back to the show, the expert of the struggling of the country, and plus now is challenging because the others underline that you are from another country, even if you actually don't. I'm maybe an African descendant now, but I'm not African. Of course, I'm not Ivory. And so it's really weird. Those times are very weird. And I grew up in the times where the grown-ups teach you to have a respect about the people, and that you are adopted, so you are Italian, and you don't need you. Everybody are the same. And after 20 years, the people yell you to a street to go back to your country. You know, now I'm just laughing, but it's very hard sometimes.
Of course it is, because we're not supposed to be going backwards. We're supposed to be going forward. You know?
That's the best answer. I'm going to write down.
Okay. And so I will write down so many things you said. So yes, this is a challenging question for you because obviously you're not somebody who chose to leave your country. But I think one thing that you do point out that talking to other people who I've interviewed you is no matter what, there's a part of you that's still to Native Italians different. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just that, you're never 100% Italian. And then the other thing that you said is that there's kind of this dual force. You feel like an Italian, but now as you're older and more mature, you can still identify with where you came from. And like the last person I interviewed, he said, I'm always American, like I always will be, even though I choose to live in Italy and I love Italy, I'll still always American. So I think as expatriates or somebody that's moved to another country, some people say immigrants, we don't need to say expatriate. It's just the fact that we're taking from what we have, the good, and then we're putting it somewhere new in our new home, yes. Right? And you've done that. You've taken all your experiences, even if they were negative and challenging, and made something good, right?
Yeah, totally. I feel like maybe I'm an expat from the world because to me, I really feel some feelings also with U.S. culture. I grew up with a person from U.S. I grew up with in the Guggenheim Bank, so I grew up. I started my first big job in New York with the people from US, and at the same time I used to deal with a lot of culture. So when the weirdest concept to explain to an Italian is that I miss pasta, asciutta, spaghetti, like I miss margarita on the rocks, like I miss ceviche. And they are like, it's not possible. And I swear, it's weird. But when you used to move in a deep way or travel in a deep way, I never moved for vacation. And that's the joke my family and my friends used to tell me every time, like, oh, let's see when she's back, because I decided I'm going to Florence. I never was in Florence. I decided one week later, I moved to Florence. I want to understand the place. So, and you will miss this place. So even if you live some bad situation, but it's very challenging.
No, I understand that. And I understand it. And obviously, we won't get into it now, but we've had so many conversations with people about food. And usually, a foreigner in Italy will say, especially if they're moving to a small place, not like Milan, is that they'll say, I miss this. And like, a lot of people are thinking, why when Italian food is so good? But like you said, you miss, ceviche, because you're not going to get that at certain parts. And if you get used to it, and I mean, in New York, and we've talked to people from New York, I mean, every single day, lunch and dinner, you can have food from a different country and you get used to that. So yes, I understand that. But if anything, we've learned from you.
Also, when I was in New York, it's so crazy because when I back, I feel the New York. I felt New York sick. Like this song, I couldn't watch anything for 3 years. Name New York. There were like Alicia Keys singing or Sting singing in New York. I had to turn down. And so if I'm not an expert from New York, but I feel something very tough from that city. So I will every time miss something very fun.
Yeah. And I was going to say, if anything we've learned from this chat today is that you have shown us that we are an accumulation of all of our experiences. And you are sunshine, I think. So tell us, Anne, what are your goals? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
In the next 10 years, I work to be a business marketing development for green marketing, cultural marketing, and project involving people and landscapes. I feel like a lot of people, of course, after pandemic, that we need to take care of this. And one of my first goal is to educate in an easy way, playful way. Also, some companies, big or small, to do not play greenwashing, but you can do something small but authentic instead. So you don't also need to pay someone to greenwashing. So this is one of my first concerns. The second concern is about the health. There was a time that I used to, I wanted to live in the hospital, and I couldn't go out. So I had to do psychoanalysis because I start to learn to walk in hospital. So it's all ways like straight,
Right.
So you can go forward. And I felt to start to study medicine, but after I of course I saw that it wasn't my business. I'm a creative person since I was 2, so it was in a good way. But my dad was very important because he understood my point. And he told me, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a doctor, but I can support good causes, so your all causes, okay? So I adopted you because I am an entrepreneur. I can afford it because it was so expensive in Italy to do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or can help for the ocean because I'm an entrepreneur. And that was the first hint that I understand that I can do good in a different way. As an entrepreneur, I fight every day to deliver an authentic message, and it's not so obviously during these times.
Right.
But the good thing is that a lot of people get fired themselves, quit the job. They're some very qualified person, and now they are all available. So there are spreadness of potential, joy, coming. There are a lot of potential. Let's see.
That's excellent. That's good. And it sounds like, like I said, you have so much experience that you're going to make it happen without a doubt. So what about personally? Where do you see your living next?
You know already.
I know already, but they don't know.
Everybody will know. I see myself in Venice. I left my heart in Venice, and I wish I can make it now. There were 2 challenges actually. One, there's a lot to walk, but with my disability, I'm allowed to have a small bicycle. Okay, so the challenge was ended up very quickly, and I was very happy. The second challenge is that there are a lot of gentrification, like a lot of people that hold apartment in Venice, touristic. So
Right.
for whoever has any activity cannot find because 6 months, 8 months, like temporary. So this is the challenge, the only challenge for us to find a nice place. Venice, if you don't know Venice, if you travel with, in August, you will hate it profoundly.
Yes.
It's like to go.
There's too many tourists.
Yeah, it's so hot. But in reality, if you hang up with people from there, and you will find a humus of people from around the world, French, American, from Milan, okay, of course, but very rich of wealth, of culture, of international, very good vibes. And at the same time, you can find a small local business that close in the afternoon. If you know where to go, and I know very well Venice, so I feel that's the perfect place for me. The water gives you all the time different.
Yeah, of course.
You are in rush. You are in rush. Those times we are all in rush. But in Venice is the only city in the world that you cannot rush. Even if you rush, you are feeling slow, and there are some times that you cannot fight with nature, or just I say with moon when there is the water or the winter.
So nature is forcing people to slow down a bit. That's beautiful. Yeah. I never thought about it, but that's good. It sounds like a nice life and a good goal. So as we conclude, there's, of course, we'll be putting the links below. Tell us how to find you on social media and the website for WOM services.
Okay. We are in Instagram, WOM services. And do you mean my personal?
No, I don't need your personal. No, the business.
Okay.
The personal only if you want to share it, but I think the business is good.
I'm sorry. So WOM services, and the website is wom.digital.
Okay, WOM.digital. Okay, so we'll put that. And right now, the website is in Italian primarily, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't even know, because if you go on to Google, obviously, if you want to get to know, a lot of their clients are bilingual, and they market to, English speaking countries. And then you just Google or translate the website for you. But they do some really interesting work. So you may want to check them out. So, Anne, I know this won't be our last conversation, but obviously, the on the channel, we will meet again. The next time we will, though, will be in person, right? Hopefully, you'll be in Venice by then. So, thank you again for being here.
Thank you, and it was so nice to be your guest today.
And thanks to our audience as well. We are Live in Italy magazine. The website is www.liveinItalyMag.com, and you can find us on social media everywhere at Live in Italy Mag. I ask you to kindly subscribe, like, comment. We love the feedback that we get, but just keep in mind that everything that you do interacting with our YouTube or our social media helps us grow, and we really appreciate that. Okay? Alla prossima.
Alla prossima. Arrivederci.
Bye.
Grazie.